let's get this wonderful Audi R8 EVO, which I believe everybody knows that it is a little bit of a tricky car to drive, and let's go for a practice session at Brands Hatch, which is another very bumpy circuit, very technical, lots of turns, but one of the most beautiful um circuits that personally I really like the circuit. So let's get in and start. Okay, so okay, I think I had a new subscriber, so thanks for that. Wasn't able to check his name. All right, so setup. Let's go get the setup. Let's move to a bigger window here. All right. Thanks, Yorgos Manusakis, that's subscribed, I think. Okay. Yeah, ACC loading times are, I don't know. I mean, even us when we first did our first try, and this is Unreal Engine, when the first time we loaded, our first test, and it was like, boom. It was Stefano was like, no, no, that's not good. I believe that he the simulator didn't load anything at all. Something is wrong. But we can see the car and we can see the circuit. It must be loaded. No, no, that's not possible. I think we've lost like 1 hour or 2 hours just to be sure that it was loading all the stuff. It's unbelievable how they do it. We have nothing to do with that. It's just click and boom, load. I don't know what kind of compression they do. Incredible. Anyway, so um, right, so aggressive setup. I'm gonna go to the electronics and put some telemetry labs on. And I know that you're waiting about that, some of you guys. So today we're gonna check a little bit of MoTeC telemetry. I want to explain you how to set it up. You can go to the forums. I will leave you the forum link under the description so that you can go and check how to set up the whole MoTeC telemetry. So let's just say that I will put the telemetry labs registering while we will do the labs, and then we will go to the telemetry and see what we're going to do. All right, so dampers. This is the situation of the dampers in the aggressive setup. But okay, let's do a couple of laps uh, with this dumping setup. So I'm not gonna discuss stuff about how to do your tires pressures and all the stuff. We've discussed a ton of this in control the sound a little bit. So we discussed a lot of that in the other live streams. I will just talk you through while I'm doing those laps. But if you want to learn how to do the setup, how to understand the handling and all the stuff, just check my previous live streams. Now it's the correct time also to click down and subscribe to my channel and convince your friends to subscribe to the channel. And yeah, well, let's start driving. So first lap, of course, is to warm up tires, brakes, everything. Get the habit of the circuit. We're not going to do lap times here. We're not searching the lap times. We're trying to understand what the car does on the bumps in terms of handling, how it reacts, all of these things. So obviously it pays to be already customized to the racing circuit, to know the racing circuit, because otherwise you are losing time to learn the racing circuit and not to understand your car. So first thing is, you have to do the laps and practice to learn the circuit and your car, and then try to get better. Right. So third gear here. Over the curb, lots of scrubbing and touching. First gear here. Stay as close as you can. That's a very tricky turn. Go in, but don't cut. I didn't go very nice. Second gear here. Stay close and accelerate. That's a big bump here. You can feel the car that bounces on this big bump at the exit of that turn. Now this is a tricky fourth gear, very high speed turn. Car bounces a little bit, have to control it. Third gear, cut a lot here. Car bounces and ooh, I'm wide. Alright. Third gear again, cut again here. Lots of bouncing. Keep the third gear even if you go into the limiter for a fast lap. Second gear into that. Get the curb on the inside. And third gear again, don't cut because it's bumpy inside on the curb. And stay close to the pit wall. Close to the pit wall and then move out. Third gear again, car bounces a little bit. Okay. Brake hard, first gear, inside, stay there. Release the brakes so that the front end bites. Again, you see, second gear, release the brakes, coasting, and go. That's it, how you do it. Second gear, little bit of rotation, release the brakes, wait, and oof, bouncy. Alright, we are now approaching this very fast first gear. Right-hander, first gear, go in, try to maintain a good line. Third gear, cut inside, control the bounce of the car. Third gear again, control and inside. Stay in third gear, second, release, inside. Okay. Third gear, don't cut this one. And that's a decent lap. Not too bad. Right. 24.5. Relatively decent lap. Not bad at all. Okay, so let's stop now and go back to the pits. Alright. Very good. Setup. Again, we don't care about, pressures and stuff. We're not going to do this kind of stuff right now. We're just trying to understand what the car is doing with the dampers. Well, what we have understood until now, the car is not bad as a general balance. You see that I could put the car wherever I wanted. It gets a little bit nervous over some bumps. I have to work a little bit. Also, it's not extremely precise. I have to correct my line. Sometimes I'm into my line, but then I see that, oh, the car moved a little bit because it bounced, so I have to go inside or outside. Right. So that's my general idea of these 3 laps. Now let's go here and exaggerate and go really, really, really soft. Right. So let's go 5 everywhere. 5 is very soft, Okay, and at the back as well. 5 and 5. 5 and 5 and 5 and 5. All right, cool. So we will have some questions and answers later, guys, for things. So keep your questions for later, and remember, let's focus on the dampers right now because it is a complicated situation. And until now, we've just talked, about what the damper is, what it does, and why we need it. Okay. So let's see on our car now. So, oops, let's start the car. Pit limiter, and let's go. So now we have low damping. Keep in mind that low damping doesn't mean that we don't have any damping at all, because obviously, you know, those cars, for example, those Audis have Öhlins dampers. They are the best, one of the best firms in the world in terms of damping. So they have, you know, 40 clicks. It doesn't mean that at 0, you know, or at 1, the dump is non-existent. It's still a great dumping, you know, graph and value. So it does it work. The same for the maximum value that you can find. So it doesn't mean that, oh, I can't put 0 because it's gonna be terrible. It's gonna be different, right? Softer, obviously. So let's see what we get. All right, so let's first, again, don't try to understand what the car does until you have your tires warm up and you are also in the correct pace. So let's do the first lap and then try to understand. Yep, I've just removed some honey. Practically, this is what I've done. All right, let's start our lap and see. Move outside. Brake to my braking point, and ooh, that was. It's slow in reactions, but let's see here. Oh, here it's good. I like it here. I think I can see the problem. Let's see here, second. Ooh. Oh, but it's so good here instead. So yeah, already I can start and notice some advantages and disadvantages. So as you can see, when I'm you know, turning in like this, oh, especially at higher speed turns, the car is not so precise. I have to correct my line a couple of times because it doesn't go exactly where I want it. You see, I keep correcting the car in the turn-in mainly. But then once the car has get it set, you know, and is following a trajectory, and I'm not, you know, abusing the car with inputs, then it goes over the bumps much better, absorbs better. It seems to be easier to absorb the bumps, but the problem is that it doesn't go exactly where I want. You see, it's not very precise. Oh, see, I cut too much inside and the whole car jumped. That was a big jump over there. Okay, let's do another decent lap because that wasn't proper. Doesn't seem like a good lap. See, I have to work here because I see the car, you know, I'm asking of the car one thing and the car does a different thing. I have to wait on my acceleration application on the pedal inputs, and then when the car goes out, I control it easily, but it doesn't, you know, instantly react on my inputs. Needs some time. Let's see. Ooh, you see how it keeps sliding. So once it slides, it keeps sliding. Okay, let's do another lap. You see, the input is just not precise at all. Yeah. It's soft, It absorbs the bounce well, but once it absorbs the bumps, then it keeps on, oscillating a little bit, and that doesn't give me, the capacity to move on and, go on and do other things and move farther forward. Ooh, see how just went away from me here. Right. Okay. 25.2. All right. Okay, so let's go back. So what do we have here? The car absorbs. You can feel it also. The first feedback is even different because with the previous setup, the first setup, you go into a bump, you get the bump, and you feel the steering wheel more harsh. It moves, and the sounds also from the chassis, which Luca Sodano and Alvio Costantini had made an amazing job on giving us good sounds, but not only from the engine, but also from the suspension movement and the chassis movement. All that stuff that you hear, it's not there just, to make noise. It gives you feedback. And with the stiffer dampers, you could go over the bumps and you can hear the whole car making noise. Now you go over the bumps and the curbs and you hear much less noise. The steering wheel moves less. And then when it absorbs the bump, the car doesn't bounce around very much, uh, and you still have traction to move forward. On the other hand, it's not all perfect because the car, once it gets a bump, a hit, it keeps on bouncing. It doesn't stops, but it goes up and down a couple of times. Also, when you are changing direction, you move the car, you turn in, for example, you're trying to go, for example, here, but the car moves on the body and you find yourself here or here, so you have to give extra input and wait until the car moves to the line that you want, and then you can move forward and accelerate or do whatever you need to do. So the car is a bit sluggish, it's bouncy, it talks a lot but doesn't do things, so you have to wait for the car. um, so yeah, especially on fast direction change or fast turns, you really need to wait for the car, and you know even if you are precise, still the car doesn't go exactly where you want. So that's the problem with the soft dampers. So let's now exaggerate and go up to 30. Okay, 30 everywhere. We can do even 35. Who cares? Let's see what happens. Okay, 35. Yeah, 35, 35. All good, guys, until now. Let's see the chat, control. What's going on? Yeah, yeah. People are asking tire pressures are lower. I'm gonna talk about that. Obviously, whatever you do on your suspension stiffness, it's gonna have an impact and influence on your tire temperatures and pressures. But we're gonna talk about this later on. Okay, so let's focus on the reactions of the car and the handling of the car. Again, it's important, as we said, on when we're doing setup changes, we do one click, two click at a time, because we need to focus. Leave, leave alone here now that we're doing extreme changes, because we need to understand what the dampers are doing. This is a test. But when you're doing proper setup work, you're doing one click, two clicks at a time. Uh, And also, when you're trying to analyze what the car does, you also need to remain focused on one thing at a time. So right now, I'm not looking at the tire pressures. I'm not looking at the tire temperatures. I'm trying to focus on how the car reacts on what I do and why it does so. After I know what is happening, then I'm going to do more tests and see what's going on with the tire pressures. Because as we said, when we're doing proper setup work, uh, the first thing we do is tire pressures. We do some changes and then we go out, test again, and then we again check tire pressures. Every time we do sessions on the track, we always do and check tire pressures and tire temperatures. And that's not something we need to do on the simulator, but also in real life. If you have ever been in an actual racetrack, in a real race, you see that the cars enter the pits, and the very first thing that the mechanics and engineers do is, take off the tires and instantly measure pressures, uh, tire depth, tread depth, and tire temperatures instantly. Even if they have, telemetry, they will also measure it by hand just to be sure what is going on. So that's, the most important thing. Right. So, okay, yeah, that seems cool. So let's move on and try the car in a very, very stiff damping setup. So we have our dampers very, very stiff right now. Go out and let's see. Now instantly you can already hear the car going over the bumps, and you can hear the noise from the chassis and the suspension movement. It's really harsh. So let's move on. Let's try to heat up our tires and see. Oh. All right. Here's our very fast right-hander. Move in. Oh, some understeer here. Because actually I was waiting for the car, to move, but it didn't. Probably have to be more precise, more aggressive, and more precise now. Oof, look at how it jumps. It actually jumps. Right. Oh, see the precision over there. That was amazing. Oh, I've lost it a little bit. I had to work on it, but it's a different kind of loss. I mean, the car was sliding, but it was so flat while sliding. I'm not driving well. No, that's my bad. My mistake. Okay, let me focus a little bit. Come on, Aris. Right. Oof. It jumps, bounces and jumps. Actually, it doesn't bounce. It doesn't bounce at all, but it jumps. Oh, it's so fast in the turning. So fast. See how it jumps. Boom. Oof. I'm moving my hands, but it's more like, driver feedback than actually needing to do so. Okay, so let's do a proper lap and see if we can. Oh, here it is bumpy. It's a little bit scary. I'm afraid to, lean on the car and make it turn in, violently, because this is what happens at a little bit afraid. So it needs, for me, to be far more precise. Oof. Here it practically jumps around like that. Here the very fast corner is surgical. It's so precise. Oof. Ah. If it grips, it's amazingly precise. But the problem is that if you are a little bit, messy as a driver, as I am, for example, and I'm not so precise, then it bites you back. Especially here, have to, be careful. Yeah. I'm trying really hard now. The car reacts to what I'm doing, so it's like telling me, you know, I can be so much better, but you're not up to me. You're not good enough for me. Oh, how it jumps here. So I'm the one. I'm the limit right now. It's not the car. I'm the limit. You see here, the car could go so much faster, but I'm not precise. You see. Ooh, then it jumps around so much. Ooh. Oh, I have to try so hard. Really trying. Alright. 24-1. Not bad, not bad. Okay, so let's stop. Let's stop and see what we can do. So return to garage. Right, so what happened here? The car was really stiff. You could hear in the noise it makes from the suspension. It jumps around, it's nervous, it's vibrating. It's not oscillating, it's vibrating, It does like that. So, um, and then it's the front end in particular is extremely precise. I mean, you turn the steering wheel and it instantly follows your inputs. You think about it, you start to turning, and the car already executes whatever you have in mind. But at the same time, uh, it scares me. At least it scares me. It rotates so fast that I have to be extremely precise and gentle, because if I do just a tiny bit more, then the car just snaps away from me, and I have to be very fast to get it back. And obviously, yes, I can control it if I'm very fast, but that's not the point, because at the moment that I start doing those very fast controls, then I'm losing tons and tons of time. In fact, you saw that in the first two laps, I was, driving in a messy kind of a way, and the car would snap out of me, and I was, controlling it. It seemed like I didn't have problems, but the lap times were abysmally, slow. Um, so if I was very precise, then I could get faster and faster. So the problem is here. First of all, the problem is the driver, as usual. The car can handle it, but I cannot. Okay, I have issues. I need to train. I need to get more focused. I need to do everything. And then there's another thing. Will I be able to do that in a race with all the other cars, around me? because if you're lapping by yourself and you're in a qualifying session, maybe then yeah, you can do your very fast lap. You can be extremely focused. Yeah, I could do a 23 with some training. But if I'm in a race, can I handle this kind of car, behavior? I don't think so. At least not me. Yes, some aliens can do it. Mm, is it good for them? So let's analyze. Yeah, the lap time tells me that I was faster with a very stiff setup, but it's half the truth because I really focused really hard to you know uh, make this kind of lap time. The first lap time I did, which was very also very fast, 24.5, 24.4, something like that, it was much more easier to do. I didn't have to focus so much. So I think that if I try the original setup with the same focus, I would be just as fast as now, or probably even faster. But that's all, impression. That's my idea about it. There is something that can show us what is really happening, and that's telemetry. Telemetry has really no no secrets. So whatever you do in the telemetry, it means that the values. If you know how to read the telemetry, the values will give you the truth. Okay, so let's check a little bit the chat. See if you guys have any issues. If you understood everything I've said and demonstrated until now, and in the meantime, I will load the telemetry.